Oh my God, it feels so good to be back. Welcome back to the KJ from OC Podcast. I even forgot how to say that. It's been so long. I am your host, KJ from OC, and I am so tired. I got a meeting tomorrow at 8 a.m., and I do not want to go, but I gotta go. So, welcome back, and thank you for joining me. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can find me at KJ from OC on there. I'm also on Twitter, same handle, KJ from OC, and also on Facebook, KJ from OC Podcast. And I think those are the three. I'm not on Snapchat or what's the other one with the kids? Kids have, that's the Snapchat. No, the other one. I don't even know this shit. There's so many of them. I just can't keep up, y'all. I can't keep up. I'm 42 years old now. Things have changed. I can't keep up with all this damn social media. We got like a new one coming out called Quibi or something in like a month. Thanks for the Super Bowl commercial for that. Now I have to remember that shit. Plus, I'm sure there's going to be a login for that. Man, there's so much going on, dog. I can't keep up. But today, I want to talk about a couple things that have happened in the last couple of weeks, and it's just how interesting initially 2 Sundays and then eventually 3 can be. How like it's just really interesting because something can happen on one Sunday and it can be very, very sad, and something can happen on another Sunday and it can be very good for a group of people, right? And something can happen on another Sunday that can be personally really good on another level. And 3 Sundays in a row, it's like tragedy, triumph, and another word I can't even think of yet, but I'm sure I'll think of it when I write this up and create a title, because that's what I do. I get creative, right? I'm glad you guys are back. I'm glad I'm back. First topic. So as you know, I believe it was January 26th, in a helicopter accident, Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and I think about 7-8 other people died in a horrific helicopter crash out in LA. And obviously it hit the whole world. I first saw that on Facebook. I saw a post and I was like, this is bullshit. There's no way it can be real. Like, there's literally no way this is real. I clicked the link when I first saw it. It was TMZ. And TMZ doesn't usually get stuff wrong. You know, you may not like seeing their stuff, but how often do they actually retract things that they post? You know, I thought, because I clicked the link and the link was dead, I'm like, oh, maybe it's a hoax, or maybe someone else, you know, copied the look of a TMZ website or something. You know, I was like, someone's hoaxing someone here. And so click the link, dead link. I'm like, all right, this is probably just BS. And then I keep seeing other people posting about it as well. Not links, but just like comments about it. And then I'm like, wait a second. Then I get a group text. Dudes I went to high school with, played basketball with, and I've known for a long time, had mentioned the same thing. Said that Kobe Bryant just died in a helicopter crash. I'm like, this doesn't feel real. I'm like, look, the link is dead. Then I find another link, and that's alive somewhere else. And I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't fake. And then I call my boy. J5, Johnny 5. The dude I've known since I was like 14 years old. We went to the same high school together. We played basketball together. We've made music together. Like, I've known this dude for now going on 18 years, which is a long time. Long as shit. Long as shit. He's been a Laker fan since Magic, Kareem, Worthy, Byron Scott. He was a Laker fan through Sedale Threatt, Nick Van Exel, Eldon Campbell, Vlade Divac. He's been a Laker fan. So I'm like, he doesn't really use social media. I know his wife does, but I don't know if she's watching. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if she's logged in right now. And so I call him. I don't even text him. I just call him, like, straight up. Get through. He answers the phone. And I'm like, dude, have you heard? And we're just talking. And we're both looking through channels, looking for, like, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, CNBC, whomever, any news channel. You know, ESPN. That was another one. Like, we're not hearing anything from any news channel. It's just online stuff, tweets and this and that and the other thing. And I'm like, it just doesn't feel real. Like, it felt so surreal. And I got another text from that group, of the basketball guys I went to high school with. And I think one of them said it felt like a peer had died. And I mean, in all honesty, when we graduated high school, Kobe graduated high school the same year, 96. And even though he was 41, he would have been 42 in, I believe, August. He's a Leo or something like that. His birthday's in August. And I just turned 42, so he would not turned 42 for a while, but still, it's a peer, and so it just felt weird, like this can't be real. Not even just because he's famous, but like this can't be real. This is way different than like when Michael Jackson died. I woke up from a nap and was getting text messages from people saying, "Hey, turn on channel 9. Michael Jackson's dead," or someone else said something about, "Have you heard about Michael Jackson?" And I saw the text. I was like, "What's the joke? What's the punchline?" She's like, "No, there is no punchline. Turn on the news." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And that felt surreal as well, but. Michael was well into his adulthood, but I was a child. So there's a big difference there where Kobe, he's born a year after I was. So it just felt like it wasn't real. And after being on the phone with my buddy J5 for like 5, 10, 20, we were on the phone for almost an hour, and most of it was just silence because we were just kind of flipping through channels looking for news stuff. And when he finally found a channel, he put the phone close to the TV so that way I could hear what he was watching, since I couldn't find CNN. I couldn't find it because really I think I was just frazzled and I just couldn't find it. Like I passed by it probably 4 or 5 times and it was just sitting there. But anyway, and eventually it was getting confirmed. There was coverage, there was explanations, there was possibilities of who was on the flight and all of that stuff. And it was just like, holy cow. I can't believe this shit. And while it became, while I said it was surreal, obviously I was in shock. I was frazzled. I couldn't find the damn news stations. Like none of them, other than ESPN. I didn't know where any of the other news stations were. I know where they are now, but I didn't know then. And then it hit me on another level because my friend who died, and I talked about this on a show. Obviously, this was 2.5 years ago, and I haven't done a lot of shows in the last couple years, and I'm sure I'll talk about that. But it took me back to 2.5 years ago. I had a friend of mine who died very suddenly of a heart attack, and he was a huge Laker fan. Kobe, Magic, Shaq, and I don't blame him. You know what I mean? Kobe and Shaq together were just amazing, and really fun to watch. But it made me think of him, and I thought of how hurt he would be, and thinking of him, and obviously how that pain still sits in my heart. Like I said, it's been 2.5 years, but there are still times throughout the year, maybe 2 to 3 times a year now, where I'll still cry. It won't be like full on, bawling, but I'll still shed a few tears for a few minutes, and then I'll kind of just get back to it. But I thought of him and what it would be like for him to hear this news, and just thinking of him sometimes can make me cry. But now the context is different, where he would be sad, and I would hear his voice, and he and I would talk, and he would share personal stuff, and he would cry on the phone sometimes. When we would get really deep and personal about stuff that he was dealing with emotionally, stuff I would never share with anyone, but because that's just between me and him. But thinking of how sad he would be, that's when I cried. And I was trying to hide it because I got roommates, and I don't want them asking me a bunch of shit about what's going on. Because it was just really, at that point, Kobe's death became personal for me, not because of him, but because of a friend of mine who's already deceased. So it was like, I really don't want to relive that, and I'll cry even harder. When I cry really hard, I get a headache. I just don't like how that feels. And so I'm just like, I don't need to feel that physical pain. I already have enough emotional pain. And so the conversation eventually ended, and I told J5, I told him why I was crying, and it was like, this is why. Like, it's not so much me, but like, how sad would he be right now? And then it made me think of our other friend, Trex, who, when Guy died a couple years ago, Trex didn't know because I had to call him and let him know. So then it was like all that shit came back was I let Trex know when Guy died, And now Trex, at the time, the day of Kobe's death, he was on a whale watching trip. So he's out in the middle of the ocean, probably not, I'm sure he's not getting reception on his phone. He's not getting any kind of data, whatever. And I don't know how the radio is going to work out there, if they're getting any of that news. But I'm like, shit, I got to call this dude again and tell him someone's dead. And so it brought all that stuff up all over again. So Kobe's death to me, while it sits on a personal level of like, damn, it feels like a peer, you know. I really feel bad for obviously the family, and Vanessa lost a husband and a daughter. Kobe's daughter was on there, and then obviously the other 7 or 8 people that were on there as well. Like, I feel for their families as well, but I didn't know them, and I'm not knocking anyone obviously who knew them or feels grief for them and the family. I get it. It's very tragic and horrible. You know, there are times when I see car accidents or I hear about, you know, a plane crash or something like that, and I'll say a prayer. You know, as I'm driving by a car accident and I see the ambulances there and everything, I'll say a prayer. Because I want people to live. You know, that's just where my heart goes. I want people to live and not have to suffer through pain like that. And so with this one, it was like, okay, this is on another emotional, personal level, and that's where it hurt. And so having these conversations with people about, man, did you hear about Kobe? And of course they did. I mean, who didn't by now, right? Like, it's been 2 weeks and a day. Everyone knows Kobe Bryant is deceased. Like, it's just everyone knows. And so I was talking to somebody somewhere. I'm not going to specify where I was and with whom I was speaking and who was speaking with us, but speaking to an older man, or maybe a guy close to my age that I've only known for a little bit. But I was like, he was wearing a Laker hat, you know. This was like a few days after, and we were chit-chatting, and I was like, man, Kobe, that really sucks. And he's like, yeah, you know, I've been a Laker fan for a long time. And, you know, just talking real quick, and then some lady, his coworker, comes over and says, well, you know, other people died on the helicopter too. And I said, I know, but I didn't really know who they were beforehand, so I don't really have that connection. And once again, I'm not trying to be a smart ass. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just, I don't feel the same connection, right? It's just what it is. And so, but she's like, yeah, but you should, almost like telling me I should feel sad for them too. I'm like, I do, but I don't have anything else to say other than that sucks for them and their families and their friends, etc., coworkers, all that. You know, I do know one student I work with that was his baseball coach, or one of his teachers or something like that. So I feel for the kid on that level. But other than that, like, there's no connection to that. And so it just made me think, how can someone tell you how to mourn a death? Like, if I want to mourn Kobe's death, that's totally up to me. People say, why should you mourn a celebrity? You've never met them. You don't know them. Why should you care? Well, I just care as a person, for one. Like, I can mourn anyone's death as far as I want to, right? Like, you shouldn't have a problem with me mourning someone's death. You know, if this was like if I'm mourning Jeffrey Dahmer's death, you know what I mean? Like, I can understand why you would think, like, what the hell, right? Like, an evil person. I'm not going to mourn an evil person's death. There are deaths that would happen in the world today, and I'm not going to mourn them. I'm not going to celebrate them, because that's just not my character. Maybe I'll quietly celebrate them, but I'm not going to go on social media and do that shit. Like, when Osama bin Laden got captured and we were told that he was killed, a lot of people getting on social media and just going after it and like, yeah, I'm glad he's dead. And I'm like, I get it. I'm not going to get into it. I just said I'm not going to celebrate it, because it doesn't feel right to celebrate the death of someone, even though I knew the context. And so, but I'm not telling people that they couldn't celebrate how they wanted, considering the context. And so I can't tell you how to celebrate something that you want to celebrate, which is going to be the next topic. But I also want people to know, you can't tell people how to mourn when they're mourning something or someone, right? Like, only people close to me understand why I mourned Kobe's death the way I did, because of what it meant to a deceased friend of mine and close friends of mine, what it meant to them. I can't feel that pain that the Bryant family feels, because I don't, like I said, I don't know him like that. I met him one time, really quick, at the Spectrum with a friend of mine. We were walking by. We saw him running around trying to avoid people. And he eventually stopped somewhere and was kind of talking to people. And I made a joke with him. This is back in my bouncer days. I said, you know what, Kobe, for $100,000 a year, I can become your security, private security, and I can make this problem like go away for you. He's like, oh, you got it like that? And I said, yeah. And I started to walk away, and I turned back around. I squeezed him around the arms. I was like, and I squealed his name. I was like, Kobe, and that was the end of the story. Like that was the extent of me meeting the guy. I never even thought about it really because it was so quick and so long ago. And it's kind of insignificant in the realm of my life, but still it was just like a little fun story. So even on that level, I don't feel that pain, but I feel it for the people who really knew him and what it really meant for them. That's what I feel. So I'm going to mourn his death because it's another death that it reminds me of, and it's not that I want to remember a death or anything like that, but that's just what it is. And so if you want to mourn deaths of people that you've never known, then you go right ahead. That's totally fine. But you're going to find yourself mourning a lot of deaths a lot of times because people you don't know die every single day. So keep that same energy when you hear about a cop getting shot or a military helicopter going down. Matter of fact, there was an article from like 2014 or 15 or something like that. It was old, very old, like several years old, talking about, several people died in a military helicopter. And I'm like, people are using this as a way, and of course the blurb would be like, don't forget our military men and women die every day. Like, can't people just mourn how they want to mourn? Why are you jumping on the you shouldn't cry over him bandwagon? It's kind of shit. I mean, it's really shitty, to be honest with you. It's like you chose this death of a significant person who was not an evil, horrible, maniacal person. And you chose this to bring up your military thing, or, hey, a cop died today, you should mourn that death. I didn't know who they were, and I've never heard of them before today either. So why do you want me to cry for that? Like, can I just not? I'm not trying to be an asshole, but it's just like, why are you telling me who I should cry for? Why are you telling me who I should feel pain for? If I don't know them, I can't feel that. If I have no connection to them, I can't feel that. If that was a relative's coworker or something like that, or if my relative was on that helicopter that went down with the military people, then I can be like, oh, damn, I lost a relative, and I'm going to roll that pain over into some of their stuff too. Then it's all combined and contextual. But to just tell me you should mourn these other deaths every day as well, like, I just don't have the space for that. No one has the emotional space for that. The response for Kobe's death and people saying, what about these people too? People on the helicopter, I get it. But other people who have no relationship to the helicopter, or people who died 5 years ago, that's like an all lives matter kind of response. Hey, we're drawing attention to this thing over here that just happened. Oh yeah, but these things happen every day. Get over it. Wow. Literally, that's almost like your response is like, well, tough shit. Which is really insensitive. It really lacks empathy. Because I saw one response that said, it wasn't directed to anyone. It was just more in general. It's like, if your grandmother dies in a hospital fire, don't ask us to cry over her because we didn't know her either. Just like you did with Kobe. Like, yeah, that's a great point. Now, I would never say that to someone, right? Because that's just I'm not a jerk like that. Maybe I used to be. I'm not anymore. But I definitely get the point where it's like, if you want to mourn a death, you go right ahead. But don't tell me who I should and shouldn't mourn. Once again, if it's not an evil person, I don't think you have a gripe. I don't think you have a gripe with me. And since you don't know what the personal connection is with that, because you didn't ask, and you didn't care to ask, because you just assumed, well then screw you. I have nothing more to say to you. So, before you tell someone how they should mourn, make sure you're keeping that same energy any time and every time someone dies that you know and that you don't know. Because I guess all deaths matter. Next topic. And the very next Sunday is like the biggest Sunday of every year. Outside of Christmas, whenever Christmas falls on a Sunday, there's like another national holiday that happened. Actually, this is second to Christmas. The Super Bowl. Bum, bum, bum. Anyway, the Kansas City Chiefs, the San Francisco 49ers. The Chiefs had been to one previous Super Bowl. The Niners had been to 5, 6. This would be their 7th. Funny thing, Kaepernick related. People promoting and saying the Niners are going back to the Super Bowl after they beat whoever the hell they beat in the playoffs, in the NFC Championship. I forget. Was it the Packers? I don't even remember. Anyway, I think it was the Packers, yes. People were saying the Niners are going back to Super Bowl, that they hadn't been in like a long time or something like that. And it was like, wait a second. They were just there in 2013. People already forgot Kaepernick led the Niners to the Super Bowl from the 2012 season. Granted, he took over for Alex Smith, but he still took them to the Super Bowl and did pretty well. Almost won the game. There was a holding call that wasn't called. It should have been called. Like, I saw it then, I was like, yeah, it should have been called. But the game's over now, so there's nothing I can do about it. But people already forgot about Kaepernick, and I'm like, damn, that's kind of whack. But I digress. Whole point is Niners, Chiefs, Super Bowl. Some team's going to walk away in triumph. Some team is going to walk away in tears. I was rooting for the Chiefs for 2 reasons. And no one can sit here and tell me I shouldn't have rooted for the Chiefs because of these 2 reasons. They probably won't say I shouldn't have for one reason. They'll be like, okay, I get that. And the second one, I think people would actually have a problem with. And then I'll have a problem with that. One reason I voted for the Chiefs, I was rooting for them. Actually, I'm going to give you 3 reasons. And I'm going to give you my most important one third. So one reason, Derek Thomas, who died in 2001, I believe, was one of my favorite actually, he is my favorite linebacker of all time. Went to the University of Alabama, drafted by the Chiefs in 88, 89. Was their number 1 draft choice that year. Played for 10, 11 years, and then died in a car accident in the snow. Wasn't wearing a seatbelt, which really, really fucked me up because he was one of my favorite players of all time. And he was on a rival team, which is just like, how can one of your favorite players of all time be on a rival team that kicks your ass every year? It just was hard. But I love dude, and one day I'm actually going to buy a Derek Thomas jersey. So for that reason, I was like, I wanted him and or his family to finally get one. And I'm sure there's other players who play for the Chiefs, from Christian Okoye, Barry Word, Steve DeBerg, I don't freaking know, Tony Gonzalez, Neil Smith, all these guys who probably would have deserved Super Bowl rings, but it's based on the entire team, not just the individual play of one person. But anyway, because of Derek Thomas, I was like, I hope they win. 1. Number 2, Andy Reid, been a coach since 1990 something, as far as head coaching, right? Used to coach the Eagles, took the Eagles to the Super Bowl in 2004 with Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens, pretty cool. Nice guy. I've never heard a mean word about him. Andy Reid legit just seems like a nice guy. And I was like, you know what? Dude's been in the league for 20 years. Kyle Shanahan, the coach of the Niners, just got there. Sure, he's a smart guy, I'm sure. But I don't have the connection to him. Once again, there's that word connection. I'm more connected to Andy Reid. Been around, seen him for a long time. Want to see him win. Boom. Kyle Shanahan, I just heard of him a couple years ago. Not gonna lie to you, so I didn't really care for Kyle. And and the third one, for me, the most important, as a black man, knowing that black people could not play quarterback for a long, long time. One of the best quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL is Warren Moon. If you were to have your top 10 to 20, he's going to be in your top 20, guaranteed. He was the he was the pro football leader for passing yards when he retired, because it included the NFL and the CFL. He got 5 Grey Cups in the CFL for the Edmonton Huskies or Eskimos or whatever it was. So dude put in work. He played for the Oilers for a long time, then the Vikings, I think then the Seahawks, and then Chiefs, and then retired there. I believe he retired in Kansas City back in like 01, 02. It was a long time. Dude played in the league for a long time. And so knowing that there have not been that many black quarterbacks to play in the Super Bowl, not even just win, because win, it's going to be, I'm already forgetting, Doug Williams was the first one, 87 Redskins. That was a strike-shortened season. Okay. The next quarterback to win, I think, was Russell Wilson in 2013. I might be wrong. Okay, I have my number here. Actually, I'll just go to the point. Including Patrick Mahomes, black men who have played in the Super Bowl, not just one, because only prior to that game, prior to Super Bowl 54, 2 black men had won Super Bowls. Doug Williams being the first one, and the second one was, where'd it go? Oh, there's Russell Wilson was the second one. But there were 4 others who had played in it. Steve McNair for the Titans against the Rams. He lost. There was Donovan McNabb in 04 against the Patriots. He lost. Like I said, Kaepernick back in 2013. He lost by 3. Close game. Russell Wilson, like a couple years later. The very next year. He won and then lost the next one to the Patriots. And then Cam Newton lost to the Broncos. And then the 7th overall is Patrick Mahomes. And so me thinking out of 54 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, previously 2 had been black. And we've really only been playing the quarterback position in a more, I don't want to say dominant, because I'm not trying to say like we're killing it, but I mean just in terms of how many black quarterbacks you have starting in the league per team, or for teams. I mean, we're getting chances, obviously, but it's still not a high percentage of black men playing quarterback in the NFL. Not that it has to be, but I'm just saying, considering how long we weren't even allowed to play. I mean, Warren Moon, like I was saying, who did so much in the NFL and in the CFL, was actually, when they drafted him, when I think the Oilers drafted him, someone drafted him, I forget who it was, wanting him to play DB. Warren Moon was not a very fast person. So if you want Warren Moon to play DB, you're doing yourself and your team a disservice, and you're only hooking up wide receivers for the other team. And Moon was a great quarterback. So that kind of thinking right there is just like, what were you thinking? Like, the guy killed it in college. I think he went out with a national championship or a Rose Bowl championship or something. So, you go out on a high note and people are like, yeah, we want you to switch positions. And that happens. Eric Crouch wanted him to switch positions. He went to, I think, Nebraska and ended up getting drafted by the Rams. They wanted him to play safety. They wanted Tebow from Florida to play like H-back or something like that, or tight end. Because he just couldn't throw. He really just couldn't throw. And so there's a few guys. Charlie Ward, I think he actually probably could have been a pretty solid quarterback. He was just small. Just really small. But Tommy Frazier, another guy who never even got drafted. He wasn't very good. And he wasn't going to be very good. He was just really good in college at the option. He was not a big-time throwing quarterback. But the whole point is, we haven't been really being picked number one for playing quarterback overall for a very long time. There are still some teams who've never had a starting black quarterback. I know there's tons of teams who've never even drafted a black quarterback. So just the fact that Mahomes was there, being number 7, and that to me was huge. And so on that level, I was like, there have only been 6 others, and only 2 others have won. I want to see this dude win. I really wanted Cam Newton to win. I really, because I really like Cam Newton. I think he's the prototypical type quarterback as far as size, arm strength, and speed, and escapability and things like that. And so I was really rooting for Mahomes to win. And for a while, it was 10-10, then it was 20-10. And I was like, shit, they're going to lose? Oh, well, no big deal, right? Like, I'm not going to lose any sleep over this. And then things started changing, and there was a big play, and another big play, and a penalty, and here, there, and all. Next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, they're going to win this thing. And they were up 24-20, which and crazy because when I saw the 24, I took a picture of it, and I thought, there's Kobe's number right there, 24. A week later, right? That's just kind of where my mind was. And so I thought that was kind of cool. Then they scored again on a long run, and that obviously sealed it. 31-20 was the final score. But I celebrated because I really wanted Mahomes. I mean, as great as that is for Andy Reid, Mahomes has been in the league for 36 total starts. He didn't start his rookie season, but he definitely played all of this year and all of last year. Is that right? Because Mahomes, like literally, he has not been in the league very long at all. He has had, let me see, where are his career stats real quick? 2017, he played, started one game, played one game, 22 of 35, 284 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick, 7 runs for 10 yards. Not a whole lot. Next year, 16 games, 16 starts. Completes 66% of his passes. That's pretty big. 5,000 passing yards in his second year. 50 touchdowns, 12 picks. 113.8 rating. NFL MVP that year. Not a surprise, right? Those are great numbers for a second-year guy who only had one start the year before. Jeez, man. And then 2019, played in 14 games, started 14 games. I think 2 of the games he didn't play because they were already in the playoffs, so they're like, we're not going to do anything crazy. We don't want to lose him, right? Which was smart. He threw for 4,000 yards, completed 65.9% of his passes, 26 touchdowns, 5 picks. Wow. And he only threw 96 less passes than the year before and scored 24 less touchdowns, but also threw 7 less interceptions. His passer rating was off by about 8 points. It was 105.3. And his rushing was down from 43 attempts, from 60 attempts the year he won the NFL MVP to 43 attempts this year, from 272 yards to 218 yards, but the yards per average run went up, and he fumbled 6 less times as well. So definitely made some huge strides. Didn't score as many TDs, but he didn't need to, because they got into the postseason. He starts 3 games. They win 3 games. He plays 3 games. Completes 64% of his passes. 900 passing yards. 10 touchdowns. 2 picks. 111.5 rating. 24 runs. 135 yards in 2 games. That number right there, the 135, that's a lot. Because what that's saying is he had to scramble a lot. Because remember, during the season last year, this past season, he ran for 218 yards. So in just 3 games, he ran for well over half of the yards that he ran for in the season, which tells me defenses were breaking him down and figuring him out and putting a lot of pressure on him, or receivers aren't getting open, or people aren't blocking, what have you, whatever it is. Things weren't happening the way he needed them to happen, but they were happening enough because he not only won the Super Bowl, but got the MVP of the Super Bowl. And so in 31 starts, NFL MVP, 50 touchdown passes in one season, over 5,000 passing yards another season, 2 passer ratings of over 100 yards, and a Super Bowl MVP. Like, how do you not root for a guy like that? Just those numbers alone. I don't care what he looks like, but how do you not root for a guy like that just on those numbers alone? That's nuts. Absolutely nuts. And then for me, because he's a black dude, and we haven't been getting a lot of opportunities to play quarterback or coach or GM in the league, even though the league is predominantly black people, come on. It's just ridiculous. And so for me, I was like, that means a lot to me, and I'm sure to other black men, from Doug Williams to Warren Moon to Randall Cunningham to Steve McNair to Rodney Peete to Andre Ware. I'm just going to run down the gambit of black quarterbacks. Vince Evans, Jeff Blake, Akili Smith. I'm kind of going off the top of my head as best as I can. Tyrod Smith, I don't know his damn name. Geno Smith. Okay, I'm kind of not really hitting it anymore. But anyway, all the black quarterbacks before, it's so important that this happens and continues to happen. And we excel so we can continue to show people in higher positions who draft in the war rooms, the scouts, etc., that just because of someone's skin tone or ethnic background, even though you can't prove ethnicity, but just because of their background, or just because they're faster than this person, or they're this is better, or that's better, doesn't mean that they can't become quarterback. And like Lamar Jackson, oh my God, he won the NFL MVP this year, and deservedly so. I'm not going to sit here and get into his numbers, but if you saw his numbers, you'd be like, holy cow, this guy absolutely 100% deserved it. And I was scared his first year, because I was like, this guy's running way too much. But he did a great job. So I want to see more situations like where guys like Mahomes and Newton and Lamar Jackson are getting shots to play quarterback and excelling. Understanding that obviously not every black quarterback, or any quarterback really for that matter, because all quarterbacks matter. No, they're not always going to succeed. That's just what it is, right? But I don't want people to look at a black quarterback and see him not succeed year one and start to think, well, they just can't do it as black people. Because people will say that. Because someone actually did say that a couple years ago about Cam Newton, I believe it was, and that he didn't have a good game against the Broncos in the Super Bowl. Von Miller, strong defense that he went up against. And some principal from some like school in Texas was like, black people shouldn't be quarterback. I don't know. It was Deshaun Watson. That's who I was like, that's just stupid. But that's literally how people will think. To validate their racism, they'll be like, oh, well, look, these people can't do that. Stupid. Absolutely stupid. But I want us to continue to succeed, to piss off bigots and racists, to show them we can succeed in stuff like this. It's just athletics. It's just athletics. That's all. We're already playing the sport. We just need to get the opportunities to do it. We're having women who've never played professional football. We have men who've never played professional football. We have them coaching. So, if they've never done it, and they can coach, what makes you think people who already play the sport can't play a different position if they've already been playing it? In high school, maybe in college, maybe it's a little bit different. But still, it's like, I want to see people get that opportunity. Black men, I want to see us get the opportunity so that way we can just show people this can still happen. And so, I triumph. That triumph, I celebrate in that way. That Chiefs win is important to me because Chiefs who I loved before, from Derek Thomas and all those guys, to Andy Reid, finally gets his ring. Finally. It's great. And the more historical significance is the third black person to quarterback a team to and win the Super Bowl. Only 6 others have done it. It's happened 7 times. Russell Wilson went twice. So only 6 others have done it. And out of that, only 3 now have won. Some might say, look, 3 out of 7 times black men go to the Super Bowl, we win. It's a high percentage. Next topic. So for those of you who know, I used to make music. I made it for a long time, since high school, since like 95, 94, somewhere in there, where I wrote my first song and recorded my first song and kept writing, having a great time. And one of the dudes I used to make music with is a guy named Circles, who I've known for a long time. Since 98, I think. And we go way, way back. Hadn't seen him in like 4 years. He calls me on like consecutive Fridays. We're actually in a group chat. Me, him, and a couple other guys are in a group chat. And he calls me on consecutive Fridays to say what's up. Talking shit, talking about music, talking about this, talking about that. One topic we were talking about the week of the Super Bowl. He calls me, that like Friday night, I think it was. Calls me and we're talking. And our conversation went to a place talking about if you could nail the top 5 songs ever made. Not even just hip-hop. Not just rock and roll, because those are almost too easy, you know? But the top 5 songs ever made. That includes Beethoven, Bach, Tchaikovsky. That includes rock, hip-hop. That includes country. That includes blues, jazz. All that stuff. All of it. The only thing you can't include is a national anthem, because that's almost too easy for some people to pick. Be like, oh, I like that song the best. Like, just don't include those. That's not fair. But yeah, that was part of our conversation a couple weeks ago. And I thought that was a really great question I asked, because I'm really smart and I'm really creative at questions like that. But we were both able to actually come up with an answer for that, including some hip hop, of course, because that's the music that we love. And then I'm on my way home this Friday, like a week later, a couple nights ago. I'm on my way home on Friday, and he calls, because I think I just texted him earlier in the day because I heard a song that he had been on, and then he called me, and then we started talking for like an hour or two. Yeah, it was like 2 hours, and then his phone dies. So we never even finished our conversation. But in our conversation, we talked about hanging out, because we have not seen each other in 4 years. And I was like, this has been a long damn time. And he doesn't live that far from me. He lived like 30 miles at the most from me. He just moved to super South Orange County, and I live in like northern Orange County. And so I kind of thought, we need to hang out, like for real. And so we actually planned later this month to hang out for like a day, like come over like at noon and just hang out all day. And so Saturday night, I take out my godson, one of my godchildren. We go to Mastro's, because I'm a baller like that. Get a steak. He gets sashimi. Having a good time. I take him home. I'm in Mission Viejo. I'm driving toward the freeway, and I call Circles, and I say, hey, I'm in Mission Viejo right now. Do I get on the freeway and go south and come visit? Or do I get on the freeway and go home? It's your call. He was like, yes, come over. You have the address, right? Right. Good. Get off on the street. Do this, do this, do this. See you in like 30 minutes. Boom. I get there about 9 o'clock. I was there until 3 a.m. Just talking. Talking about music, talking about life. Mostly talking about music, because that's like where we connect. And then we're talking about various samples we hear in this song and that song, and where this sample came from, and this group's beef with this group, and this joke, like all these different things. And what had been a good day already, because I got to see my godson and hang out with him, and he got to be in a fancy restaurant around rich people, it was pretty cool. He said it was the best food he's ever had, which really makes me happy, because I wanted him to experience that. But it made it even better to be able to go see my buddy who I hadn't seen in 4 years, that I've known for 22 years almost this year. It was a really good feeling. It made a good day an amazing day. It just made it better. And it's so interesting how, like I said, that Sunday where Kobe dies, tragedy. And then the very next Sunday, triumph for all the Chiefs fans, everyone who's rooting for Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce, their star tight end, or Andy Reid, right, their coach, who I'm still super happy for. Like, I'm really more happy for Andy Reid than I am anyone, but the whole point was just how you can't tell somebody to celebrate. And then for the very next Saturday, which rolled into Sunday because it was 3 a.m. when I left, just how different those days can be and just how meaningful they can be, right? Like, that first Sunday, January 26th, is meaningful for a tragic reason. The next Sunday is meaningful for a triumphant reason for all the Chiefs fans and all that stuff. And the next Sunday is triumphant more personally for me, because I get to reconnect with a friend and hang out with him for 6 hours. Had a great time. And it's just so interesting how, like, these 3 Sundays in a row have such different significance. I don't know. It's just, I don't even know how to really dig into it and really kind of pull it apart. But it's just really beautiful sometimes. It's just like how different your day can be, So those memes you see, those little like inspirational quotes and things like that, which are really nice, sometimes maybe they're a little extra and I'm like, it's BS, but I get the point. But it's really it really tells you that each day is a new day. Each day is a new day. You can start over. It doesn't have to be what it was the day before. If you had a shitty day one day, you don't have to have a shitty day tomorrow. It's your choice. It is your choice. I posted on Facebook last night. It says, mourn how you want to mourn. Celebrate how you want to celebrate. All is your choice. Make your choices healthy or not. Still your choice. And it's not trying to troll anyone. It's just saying how you live your life is really ultimately your choice. How you choose to celebrate, how you choose to cry, how you choose to chill, all the C words. Cry, celebrate, and chill. It's all your choice. How you choose to deal with a tragedy, how you choose to deal with a triumph, and how you choose to deal with another T word I can't even think of, but I'm sure I will by the time I post this and think of a title. But it really is just really interesting just how these days can be so different. The same day of the week on a different week can have completely different significance, but still be very significant there. Matter of fact, this coming Sunday, I'm supposed to be at a XFL game over in Carson. And the following Sunday, I'm supposed to be in Lancaster with a couple friends. One I haven't seen in a few months. And then March 1st is rent due. Shit. But it's just like, that's how life is, man. Like, you really can make the most of it and make the best of it. No matter what day it is, just enjoy it. Enjoy it the best you can. And if today's a shitty day or the next few days are going to be shitty, try to make something great within those shitty days. Now, I understand some people are going to deal with death and some illnesses and things like that, and I get that. But for the rest of us who are not those people, you can make it a better day. It's a choice. Laugh about something that you really find legitimately funny, not someone hurting themselves, but laugh about something that's really funny. A friend of mine called me years ago having problems at home with a family member, and we talked for, 30, 40 minutes or so, maybe an hour, I don't even remember, but I said, at the end of the conversation, I told her, I said, what's a favorite show that you like? And I think I may have mentioned, I Love Lucy. Lucy's a hilarious TV show. I don't care how old you are. Old school physical comedy, frickin' Gilligan's Island, Three's Company, I Love Lucy. All those shows are absolutely hilarious. How would you not want to watch that? So I said, watch I Love Lucy for a couple episodes. Go to YouTube, watch I Love Lucy, watch some clips, whatever it was. And she did, and she actually messaged me. She said, actually, that helped a lot. Because you don't have to stay in that mindset of thinking about the thing that you don't like, about the thing that's going wrong in your life. You got to find something to laugh about, even amidst tragedy. You got to find something to celebrate, even amidst tragedy. You can look back and be like, man, this guy was great. Vanessa Bryant put out an Instagram post, talking about the death, and I don't even know what it says, because in all honesty, I don't think we need to hear from her. It's not our pain, per se. That's hers. And so the fact that she would do that, or maybe a publicist did, or what have you, that's fine. But ultimately, I'm like, there's really... let her be. She didn't have to put out anything. I don't think anyone needed to put out anything on the family's behalf either. I think we just need to leave people the hell alone right now. And so I actually don't want to read it, because I just don't feel like I needed to. I feel like she should just have her time and shouldn't feel forced to tell anyone anything, other than just respect their privacy and leave them alone. And I'm still upset that Gayle King would say what she said about Kobe and say to Lisa Leslie, oh, you wouldn't have seen if he was this kind of person or that kind of person, in a very negative way. Wasn't cool. You don't ask a friend that days after a guy's death. Like, screw you. We're not, I'm not with that. Totally not with that. Don't respect it at all. But anyway, still, even though I'm mad at Gayle King, guess what? I still found things to laugh at. I watch Caleb City on YouTube. I watch Long Beach Griffey, which is not for kids. I watch funny things. I do funny things. I hang out with people and make jokes and stuff like that. Just have a good time. I just have a good time. Because I don't have to stay sad all the time for the things I'm sad about. There's a lot of tragedy in the world. Not on some all lives matter shit, but there is a lot of tragedy in the world. But I can't sit here and be sad about it every day, because I would be so depressed. I would be so depressed, and I wouldn't laugh ever. I wouldn't smile ever about the things I love, the people I love, people I want to spend time with. So no matter what your day looks like, unless you're going through something really crazy and major, you still got to try to find something to smile about, something to laugh about, so that way tragedy doesn't linger for too long. And if you want to celebrate something today, that is your choice. You go right ahead and celebrate. Okay, I found a word. I had to look one up. It took me a few minutes, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to throw it out there. So we got tragedy, we got triumph, and we got troop. He was a part of my group. It's such a stretch. He was a part of my group for a long time. And there's also trust, because I entrusted some things to him that I talked about on a personal level that he didn't know about beforehand, before I was talking about it. And so it's really cool that, things don't always have to stay the way that they are, but also just remember that no matter how things are, it's your choice to deal with them however you choose to deal with them. It's your choice. No one can tell you how to cry. No one can tell you how to mourn, how to celebrate. Just make sure they're for good reasons. And then you do your thing. And don't forget your troop. Trust your troop. Spend time with your peoples. Spend time with your friends, your loved ones that you've entrusted your life with, that you've told them private, personal things. They've told you private, personal things. Spend time with people who care about you. Tell people that you care about them. I gave that dude 5 hugs when I saw him the other day, because I hadn't seen him in 4 years. Totally worth it, man. That's my guy. That's my guy. And that's my show. First one I've done in a long time. Matter of fact, I'm going to make this right now, and I'm going to post it in the morning, and I'm going to send it to him. So I want him to hear it. Love you, Circles. Anyway, catch me again, guys. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, KJ from OC. I'm out.